Now available in paperback and Kindle, All About Marilyn. Learn all about the struggles of a faded former teen sitcom star in this absolutely fabulous 5-star screenplay. Get All About Marilyn in paperback and Kindle on Amazon.com today. Actor Billy Eichner wants to blame heterosexual men and women for his gay romantic comedy Bros flopping at the box office. Now, Your Bros was created to be Hollywood's first mainstream gay romantic comedy, and even in the face of numerous critical praise from the Hollywood critics and a A+ cinema score, Your Bros opened up on September 30th with a $4.83 million box office, over 3,000 screens. And your Billy Eichner wants to blame heterosexual men and women for the failure of Bros at the box office, and wants to say that it's all heterosexual people's fault for not wanting to go see Bros at the theater. Well, as a heterosexual black man, I can tell Billy Eichner that you can't go out here blaming heterosexual people out here. And the reason why you can't blame us for the failure of Bros is because most heterosexual people, like myself, never even knew that this movie even existed. No, I hadn't even heard about this movie until another YouTuber I was on a live stream told me about this movie, and when he told me about the logistics as related to the movie, that's where I started to connect the dots and find out the real reason why Bros basically flopped at the box office. And Bros, again, did not flop because heterosexual people didn't go out here to see it. No, Bros flopped because Hollywood executives did not want it to be seen. Because if Hollywood executives were serious about pushing the movie Bros, they would have put a lot more ads on the air on television to let people know that this movie even existed. And they would have released trailers out in movie theaters to let people know that this movie was coming. But most people, like myself, never even knew that this movie even existed until we got told by somebody like I did during a live stream, or most people didn't even know about this movie until the MTV Video Music Awards, where your Billy Eichner decided to get up on stage and he decided to go on what I call a racist rant, where he decided to call out Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas and other so-called homophobes. And as he went on this rant, that was the only way most of America knew about Bros. And most people, again, really, there weren't that many people watching the MTV Video Music Awards because the ratings said that it was basically maybe about 4 million viewers, I believe, at best. So most of the country didn't even know that Bros even existed. And the reason why they didn't know why Bros existed had to do with those Hollywood executives who are the ones who give you a marketing budget. And if you think if a studio thinks a film is successful, they're going to put money into marketing that film. And the studio, really, I don't think they had as much faith as Billy Eichner had in Bros, because they didn't put any money into marketing this movie to let the audience know that this film was coming to theaters. So basically, if your Billy Eichner wants to get mad at someone, maybe he needs to get mad at those Hollywood executives who went out here and were doing the marketing and advertising for his film, because they were the ones who basically shortchanged him and basically were the ones who went out here and, as I see it, basically did his own project in. And maybe they went out here and shortchanged him on the budget for marketing and promotion because they saw the date of the movie's release, and the date of that movie's release basically told me the main reason why this movie was going to fail at the box office, because the release date for this movie was September 30th. Now, anybody in the entertainment industry knows that if you get a date on late August to mid October, basically that's the death knell for whatever project that you're on. And it seems like your Billy Eichner doesn't have much experience as related to the entertainment industry like I have, because I've been studying it for over 25 years, and I know that once you get a date in the period from late August to mid-October, they're basically taking your movie and dumping it in the garbage, and they're just trying to throw crap to the wall, hoping to see if this movie makes a profit, and they're not really expecting it to make a profit because, again, the period from late August to mid-October, this is the time when the summer movie season is over. This is where kids are going back to school, and most people aren't thinking about going to the movies. So this is a period where Hollywood, again, just takes whatever movies they bought that they didn't really have much faith in, they release them to the marketplace, and if they succeed, they'll talk about it, but if not, they're not really expecting any money to be made on this movie. In most cases, they're expecting these movies to flop, and that's basically why they released Bros on September 30th, because the studio basically had no faith in this film, and because they had no faith in this film, they basically sent it out to die. Unfortunately, your Billy Eichner doesn't seem to have very good critical thinking skills, and he really doesn't understand how the entertainment business works, because at this point, on a movie like Bros, the studio basically is just taking it up for a loss, and it's just gonna move on. And again, this wasn't about heterosexual people not going to see the movie. It was about the studio just basically giving up on the movie. But we don't see your Billy Eichner ranting and raving at the studio executives because he doesn't want to upset all of those studio executives, because if he knows if he goes out here and speaks against the studio executives, the chances of them buying his next movie or greenlighting his next project are slim to none. So your Billy Eichner wants to go out here and take out all of his anger on straight people, but straight people were not the reason why Bros failed at the box office. No, it was Hollywood executives who basically laid out the chess moves far before this movie's release date was even planned. I believe that when it comes down to these studio executives, they already knew that the audience for Bros was already limited, and they already knew that they could not make much money on this movie. Yes, a studio executive may have bought it, but other studio executives saw that they really didn't have much of an audience for this movie, and that's why they really didn't give your Billy Eichner's movie a full promotion budget like they would other small budget horror movies. I mean, the small budget horror movie Smile, I saw more ads for Smile than I did for Bros, and that shows how much more faith the studio had in a low budget horror movie than they did in your Bros, which they basically bought to go out here and virtue signal and push their identity politics. But when it came down to making money, they put more money in the project they believed was going to make more money. But your Billy Eichner wants to call the audience homophobes, but the irony is he doesn't want to call the studio executives the same type of slur, and he doesn't want to call the studio executives that, again, because he doesn't want to wind up being blacklisted by Hollywood, because those Hollywood executives are the ones who sign the checks for his projects getting greenlit. Those Hollywood executives are the ones who sign the check for the distribution of his film. They're the ones who buy his film for distribution, and they are the ones who sell his movies to the theaters. If it wasn't for the studio executives and the distributors, nobody would know who Billy Eichner is, and people still don't know who Billy Eichner is. I mean, I would have never heard about this dude had one of the guy I was host on the live stream with told me about him. And basically, I mean, this is all I listen to this guy. He's sitting up here ranting, talking about, oh, Clarence Thomas and other homophobes. No, why aren't you calling those Hollywood executives homophobes? Because they were the ones who set you up with this movie. That's what I have to ask Billy Eichner. Why aren't you calling those Hollywood executives homophobes? And why aren't you going out here and getting mad at members of the alphabet community who didn't go see your movie? Why aren't you mad at the Hollywood executives? Why aren't you mad at the alphabet community for not supporting a movie that was made for members of the alphabet community? I mean, your Billy Eichner has people he needs to be getting upset with, but he won't talk about them because that won't get him any virtue signal points like attacking members of the heterosexual community will. Now, he gets upset talking about how it's straight people not going to see the movie that was the problem, but the movie wasn't marketed at all. And again, that was the fault of the Hollywood executives at the studio, and those are the people he should be mad at, because it was those people who didn't help him out. And again, these are supposed to be so diverse and tolerant, but it seems like they didn't have any sort of interest in helping him by giving him a marketing budget or a promotion budget. But he wants to attack heterosexual people for not going to see a movie most of us never heard about, most of us never were told about, and most of us didn't even know existed. Because usually if a studio is interested in selling a movie, a studio will start promoting that movie 90 days in advance to get the audience hyped up, and there was no such promotion done on Bros. So that shows me that Billy Eichner really doesn't have many bros in Hollywood, and he's really thinking to go out and again attack straight people. But the real straight and skinny is that maybe he doesn't have the bros in Hollywood like he thinks he does. Now, this video will not be monetized due to YouTube's policies, so if you could donate to the Cash App, that would be greatly appreciated. And if you want to check out some of my screenplays, like All About Marilyn and All About Nikki, you can find those screenplay books on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find these screenplays on other online booksellers, along with my other work in fantasy, science fiction, and nonfiction on Amazon and other online booksellers like Smashwords, the iBookstore, and Google Play. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Now available in paperback and e-readers, All About Nikki, a fabulous first season. The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air meets Clueless in this absolutely fabulous African-American 1990s teen sitcom. Get all 13 episodes of All About Nikki, the fabulous first season, in paperback and e-readers today.